So we got our lucky light here. This isn't going well, is it?
What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to install aftermarket battery terminals. It's not that complicated, but if you don't know how to do it, it can be pretty intimidating. So I'm going to show you the easiest way that I know, and I'm going to use the cheap tools. I'm not going to use the stuff that professionals would use because you guys probably don't have that. Step one is always going to be just removing the terminals from the battery. I always start with a negative terminal for safety purposes. If you remove either terminal, you're not going to be able to make a complete connection with the battery, so you're good to go. But I start with the negative because you can pretty much touch the wrench anywhere but the positive post, and it's not going to make an arc. If you start with the positive, you're going to be able to make an arc on any metal surface in the car. The reason I'm changing out the terminals is because I'm putting a new battery in. And once you start getting corrosion on either the terminals or the battery, it's usually going to come back. So I'm just going to do a fresh start, new battery with new terminals. Now I'm going to be cutting off these terminals, but before you do that, you definitely want to make sure that there's enough wire there for you to be able to cut off the existing terminals and still be able to put the new ones on and have them reach the posts on the battery. On my negative battery terminal, there's obviously plenty of wire there, so I went ahead and cut it. I don't really have cutters that are good for wire this thick, but you can use regular wire cutters and take little nibbles at it. It'll take a little bit longer, but it'll work just fine. Next, I take a razor knife and I carefully score the insulation on the wire. And then once I do that, I'm able to pull it off and I have exposed wire that I can put inside of my terminals. The terminals themselves are very simple. All you have to do is remove the two bolts on the front and then the little plate comes right off. You set your wire inside of that cavity and put the plate back down and bolt it on tight. And you want to try to avoid having any wires fraying, mostly for cleanliness purposes, but it also helps you get better contact between the vehicle and the battery. The positive terminal isn't quite as long as the negative terminal, but what I can see is that there's obviously a clip holding it to part of the body, so I'm able to pop it out of that clip, and that gives me a lot more slack. Once I determine that I have enough wire, I'm able to cut the terminal off. Again, use my razor knife to score it along the insulation, only taking out as much wire from the insulation as we need. And attaching the positive is the same as attaching the negative. Pop it into the cavity, tighten the bolts down, good to go. Nothing really all that tricky. Once you get both of the terminals down onto the post and tightened down, you get to see if all of your work worked out. Here at Strange Garage, some of the content that I do is tutorials like the video that you just watched, but most of it is just random projects that I have going on in my garage. A lot of the stuff is pretty impractical. A lot of the stuff is pretty obnoxious. Yeah. I just call all of it strange. I have a pretty good time doing what I do, and I like sharing my projects with the YouTube community. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. I'd love to have you on board. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I try to respond to as many people as I can. And as always, thanks for doing your part to help make this world a strange place.